ISLA is the name of the journalist that did the interview in Tenerife with Brad. Many felt that she didn't do a great job of interviewing him, because she often prompted him with the answers to questions, even going as far as to help him describe his friend Jay. She didn't ask the important questions, and was apparently asked to speak to Debbie because Debbie trusted her. I have a problem with this statement. I believe she was asked by her superiors to go to Tenerife, because like all of us covering the case, it was big news. If you could get to Tenerife to get hands-on coverage, then why not? I don't think it was because Debbie called the station and asked for her specifically to come to Tenerife because she trusted her. Anyway, I think this was an opportunity for a certain narrative to be pushed to put some things to bed by Brad. He talked about Tom Hilton, put that rumor to bed. It's almost like it was a damage control interview. During this same interview, it's clear that Brad had a black eye. He wasn't asked the hard questions, he was just there to do damage control. Well, many on social media were not happy with ISLA's interview, and they have been calling her out. Some were asking if she really believed Brad's story. Why not speak to Lucy? She was the last person to speak to Jay. Others said she is brilliant at her job, and is getting answers for Jay. Let's take a look at what ISLA had to say. She captioned the video. I hope this helps set out the facts of what we know, Jay's mindset that morning, and what the possibilities are. At the heart of this is a family desperate to find their boy. Please have compassion and restraint in the comments. Take a look.
And I personally don't really care about some of the things that have been said about me, but what I would like to do is clarify some facts. I'm not having to respond to all the different comments. But first of all, just to address the nonsense and attention that's been brought on me, I'm a journalist. I have been a journalist since I was 16 years old. I'm vastly experienced. I've won awards for what I do. And what do journalists do? We go to the location of a story and report on them. And I find it rather hilarious that that has become the focus of a story. The reason for me actually going out there was I had been asked to speak about it on This Morning, and I did all the inquiries that I could from being based in London. And his family saw me, and his mother actually contacted the studio and said, I trust her, I like her, can I talk to her? That is why I ended up going out to Tenerife. It wasn't me jetting off or, whatever nonsense. I had 2 hours sleep and then was straight boots on the ground, going to the location, interviewing the people that needed to be spoken to, and finding out the facts and establishing the location. I did a walkthrough of where he had gone. I didn't do anything dangerous. I was not personally going out to try and find him. I am not going to go into bush. My reports are demonstrating this is where he went missing. This is how dense the bush is, to show, how high it is. I'm 5'2", and these cacti and shrubs are way taller than me. It's a really, really difficult terrain. But let's go to some of the facts and things that are being written about online. First of all, the Snapchat photo by Jay at 7:30 that morning. And I did question this. I'm like, what on earth is this sort of colourful fabric around him? Now, we know, and this is from his friend Brad, who had a phone call with him, and he actually showed him it was the blanket. They'd made up a bed for him in this Airbnb that he was sleeping in. Also importantly, the 2 men that he went to go and stay with, they had met them 3 days before. They'd hung out with them. They'd made friends on holiday. It wasn't 2 random people he'd met that night. They'd established a friendship, and Brad said they seemed like really cool guys. Jay was just not ready for his night to end. We have all been there, where other friends want to go to bed. Hey, let's have one more drink. That was, I believe, his intention for going up to the Airbnb. However, he did communicate to his friends via phone calls or text saying, oh, these guys have just gone to bed, maybe I'll just come back. But trying to get back in the middle of the night would have been impossible. His mindset that morning was, you wake up, I just want to get back. That was what he wanted, to just get back to his hotel, to his friend. His tone when he was then out walking, he steps over, there's big stones, painted stones, that border the entire mountain road. It is an extremely dangerous mountain road just to even get up there. It's an hour, 45 minutes to an hour drive on very winding roads, like a James Bond film. It's really quite scary to go up there. But anyway, he is seen by his friend stepping over these white stones, and that's when he starts going downhill. And that was new information to me, because we were looking logically, intuitively, that he might have tried to cut up the way, but he was actually going down. So he might have been further up and then trying to shortcut a next bit. You would not naturally think, I know, I'm going to go off the road. I'm going to go through this really dense cacti. There are little mountain paths and if he would only really do that to try and cut a corner. So Paul Arnott, the experienced climber, yes, he's a TikToker, but he's actually out there. He's working harder than anyone out there. So he's actually changed his focus on where he's going to look based on the information that we got from his friend Brad. So that's really, really important. The phone call with Brad, they did establish exactly where he was, because I think he did a pin check or whatever, and he's like, oh, it's a 45-minute, 15-minute drive, or a whatever it was, 10 to 14 hour walk. And he said to him, mate, you need to get a taxi. And he's like, yeah, of course I do. He has a phone call after that with someone else. So the newspaper reports are saying, oh, he slipped while he was on the phone to his friend. Was this the moment? No, he was still okay. He'd cut himself. He had cut himself on cacti. He even questioned whether cacti was poisonous, because I think this cut or whatever was bothering him. So, we do know that he was off the road, and he was also off the road then when he spoke to Lucy, and that's when he, I think, begins to realise, hold on, I'm in trouble here. The battery's about to die. He was a bit disorientated. He'd probably had very little sleep, had been drinking, etc., and not thinking so clearly. But that moment when he realises this isn't a fun adventure, this is a bit more serious, and I think that's where the tone changed with the call with Lucy, and his phone died shortly thereafter. Now, what the police are doing, they've actually asked to see my report with the interview with Brad, because that will help them. I don't know why they haven't done that, or someone hadn't done that and passed it on before. It's really important to find out exactly where we know for sure he was or could have been at that time, based on call logs, etc. I actually took Brad's phone and was screenshotting his call log with Jay. Unfortunately, the final call with him was on Snapchat, so it doesn't show on the actual thing, but he remembers it was about 8:30, 8:40 was when he spoke to him last. And I believe Lucy spoke to him afterwards. So these are the things that we actually know. Is it possible he got back on the road and tried to thumb a lift? Yes. We cannot say whether or not that happened. Did he fall and hurt himself off the road? Highly possible. If he'd gone back on the road and been walking for any period of time, there would have been a cargo pass. We were up there from 7 a.m, and even though it's extremely remote, there are vehicles going up there, and it gets busier as the morning goes on. The cafe where the lookout is, and they know he definitely got up to that point, or his phone pinged near there, it would have been shut at that time. It didn't open until 10. So trying to piece together all these bits of information. His family, I've spent quite a lot of time with them. His mum, who initially thought she might want to do an interview, she is so distraught right now. It's not advisable or ethical or moral for me to do that. I would never have pushed her to do it. And I said to her, you need to do an interview if you want to, and if you don't feel up to, then don't. And she didn't want to, and I agree with her decision. And that's why Brad spoke on behalf of someone, because I said it's important for people to understand beyond a photograph and stories from his past, which I'm not really going to delve into. Yes, he was one of a number that was charged in connection with an assault. The victim of the assault has gone online and said, please stop trolling them. Please help them find the guy. This family of, their son's missing, have some sympathy. What I can tell you, though, is that Jay was a bystander, if you like. He was not wielding a weapon. The victim was actually asked his opinion on Jay and said something like, yeah, he's sound. So there was not any bad blood between them, even though he was one of a number that was charged. His family do not shy away from that, of him being present and him being convicted of something. But that is not, I believe, a true reflection of his personality and who he was. And again, I don't believe this is any relevance at all to him going missing. So I want to say to people, please have compassion. And before you write a comment that is nasty and cruel, put yourself in the shoes of his family. They are so distressed. I have experienced this with families throughout my career. When you don't know what has happened to your loved one, there is nothing worse. When you don't have answers and you're hanging on to any clue, and that's why false things being spread online are not helpful. It's diverting away from what are genuine, legitimate lines of inquiry. So my hope is, I might be returning to Tenerife, I don't know. There is no programme on this weekend, and I need to come home to sort out some personal things, because I had to drop everything to go out there with no notice at all. But I hope that this search today is more focused. I have passed on everything I can that is useful via the family to the police, and I hope that my reports have helped people watching have a greater understanding of where he went missing. As I say, I was not going out there to find him and to attempt to do something dangerous and go into the bushes and the dense, dangerous undergrowth. I was going there to demonstrate and show where he was, where he went missing, and what the possibilities are of where he could be. And it really does break my heart. And I tried to be as honest and realistic with the family as I possibly could be about what they might be facing in the days and weeks and months to come. And as a human being, as a person, I pray that they find him, so that the family have answers. And it's not looking good right now. And as I mentioned in the report yesterday, as unpalatable as it is to think that he's been picked up in a car by someone with ill intentions or whatever, they would like any outcome where he's still alive. And we just don't know if that's we just don't know. We don't know what's happened to Jay. We need to find that out. So please, everyone, keep the focus on the investigation. I hope I've made some sense. I'm extremely tired. I have barely slept in days. And thank you to all those really lovely people who know who I am, who know my job, who know my integrity, for writing nice things. And I genuinely really don't care about the stupid comments, because they're written by people who have absolutely no clue about what they're talking about. And they can go and just maybe spend their time doing something more useful.